In this video, we'll write the balanced net ionic equation for HClO4 plus SrOH2. This is perchloric acid and strontium hydroxide. So the first thing we need to do when we balance net ionic equations, we have to balance the molecular equation. This here is the molecular equation. So I can see I have one perchlorate ion here, and over here I have two perchlorate ions. So I'm going to put a 2 in front of the HClO4. At this point, I can see I have 2 hydrogens plus 2 hydrogens. So I have 4 hydrogens in the reactants, only 2 on the products. If I put a 2 here, that balances the hydrogens. And then I have 2 oxygens here, and then the 2 oxygens here. And the chlorate, we said that perchlorate ion, that's already balanced. This is the balanced molecular equation. Next, we need to write the state for each substance. This perchloric acid is a strong acid, so it'll dissociate, dissolve completely in water, dissociate into its ions. Strontium hydroxide, that's considered a strong base, so that's going to be aqueous as well, dissociate into its ions. For perchlorates, if you know your solubility rules, very soluble, AQ, and then water, that's a liquid. So we have our states. Now we can split the strong electrolytes into their ions, and that's going to give us the complete ionic equation. So hydrogen group 1 on the periodic table, that's 1 plus. So we'll have 2 hydrogen ions. I'll write the states later. Let's not do that now. Plus, I have the perchlorate ion right here. This whole thing is 1 minus. So I'll have ClO4 minus. Strontium's in group 2 on the periodic table. It's 2 plus. And the hydroxide, the whole thing is 1 minus. That's a real good one to remember. We have our strontium ion, Sr2 plus. And then we have 2 of these hydroxide ions, so 2 of the OH minus. So these are the reactants in our net ionic equation. For the products, we said strontium was 2 plus and the perchlorate ion 1 minus. So again, we have the strontium ion and we have 2 of these perchlorate ions. And I note right now, when I see these 2 here, I only had 1 up here. I forgot to have this 2 go to the whole thing. So I had my 2 hydrogen ions, but I also have 2 perchlorate ions. So I need to have a coefficient of 2 there. Then we have water. We don't split water apart in net ionic equations. So this is the complete ionic equation. Now we can cross out spectator ions. They're ions that are the same on both sides. So we have 2 of these perchlorate ions and 2 here. And that's what kind of alerted me to my error when I saw I had 2 here and 1 here. So spectator ions, we can cross those out. We have a strontium ion here in the reactants and in the products. We'll cross this out. What's left, that's the net ionic equation for HClO4 plus SrOH2. I'll clean it up and write the states in. We'll have our net ionic equation. So this is the balanced net ionic equation for perchloric acid plus strontium hydroxide. You note that charge balances have 2 times 1 plus, that's 2 plus, 2 times 1 minus, that's 2 minus. So that adds up to 0, net charge of 0. And this is a neutral compound over here, net charge of 0. And the atoms, they're balanced as well. If I hadn't fixed my earlier error, when I got to this point, it just wouldn't work out. Charge wouldn't balance and the number of atoms wouldn't balance. So you have a final chance to make sure you're right here at the end of balancing the net ionic equation. This is Dr. B, and thanks for watching.